Hello there, my name is Mooseman and today I'm here to inform you of whether you should play, wait or avoid the co-op platformer survival game Extreme Exorcism. As always, we'll be looking at gameplay, aesthetics, value, and future potential before making a final verdict on the released version of Extreme Exorcism. Extreme Exorcism is a game in which your goal is to survive as many rounds as possible by defeating ghosts of your former self. After completing the first round, each future round your goal will be to defeat a ghost that copies exactly what you did in the previous round. While this may seem simple at first, it becomes increasingly difficult to deal with the sheer number of ghosts that start appearing as you progress through the rounds, since each one will copy not only your movements, but also your attacks. The game plays similarly to any other 2D gun-based platformer, with your abilities being based on what guns you pick up. You start out with nothing but can hold up to 3 weapons at a time. However, each time you fire a weapon, all weapons will fire simultaneously. While this may seem like a good thing at first, the more weapons you pick up and the more times you shoot, the more of a problem your ghost will be, so choosing your weapons carefully will be essential to preventing your ghost from creating too much trouble. In order to clear a round, you will only have to kill the ghost that you produced in the previous round, which is wearing a crown. While the other ghosts from earlier rounds will be active, killing them will only award you points in addition to eliminating the ghost for the duration of the round. If you want to get rid of ghosts permanently, you will have to perform an exorcism using the exorcism item. This item will create a black hole and will eliminate all ghosts around you permanently. Extreme Exorcism's ghost mechanic is the only real defining factor of the game, but is it enough to give the game enough depth? At first, yes, but after a few levels this mechanic unfortunately does get stale. The problem with the game is that the ghosts repeating your past movements are not enough to replace actual AI. You're never dying because you lost to a more skilled opponent, rather you are dying because the game turns into a bullet hell over time as the number of ghosts gradually increase. While this doesn't prevent the game from providing you with some level of fun, it's definitely a game that you may get bored with faster than you can complete it. There are 2 single-player modes available in the game, Arcade Mode and Challenge Mode. In Arcade Mode, your objective is entirely point-based, as there are an unlimited number of rounds that will continue until you eventually get overwhelmed and die. To progress through the game, you have to get enough points in a single level to progress to the next level, in addition to gathering enough overall points to unlock the next room. This means that you will not have to finish all 5 levels in a room if you choose not to, as long as you survive for a long number of rounds in the early levels. Gaining points also allows you to unlock new weapons that will be present in all future levels, in addition to being inserted into past levels if you decide to play them again. Challenge Mode is similar to the Challenge Mode from Super Smash Bros., where you will have to complete levels with additional rules. There are a massive amount of challenges, and each tier increases the difficulty even further. While I wasn't as engrossed in Challenge Mode as I was in Arcade Mode, since you are replaying levels that you have already unlocked, this mode definitely adds additional replayability for those who want more single player after completing Arcade Mode. Before we move on to multiplayer, I do want to take a second to praise the fluidness and control that you have over your character and weapons. While there's no advanced platforming mechanics outside of being able to do a double jump, it's important to note that while I was playing the game, I never felt a sense of frustration when I was controlling my character. Multiplayer is present in Extreme Exorcism, but I've neglected to talk about it so far for a very specific purpose. While the multiplayer is a great part of the game, since each player you add to the game exponentially increases the chaos, there is no online mode whatsoever. You can play locally with friends, but not being able to play over Steam is a huge letdown for me as someone who games almost exclusively online. Assuming you do have the ability to play locally, you can play co-op arcade or deathmatch, which is the multiplayer exclusive mode. Arcade mode stays basically the same, but instead of a ghost being produced by each player, only a ghost will be created for the player that killed the previous crowned ghost. Deathmatch plays similarly to arcade, but instead of an enemy ghost appearing every round, a ghost of the loser appears to help the losing team. Deathmatch is generally a lot of fun, especially with the ability to customize different aspects of the match, such as only including explosive weapons, and it is definitely the mode that you want to go to if you are playing with friends for the first time. The final gameplay related criticism I have is the inability to rebind your keys and lack of mouse support. The default and only controls for keyboard are either using WASD or arrow keys to move, and pressing Z to shoot. This configuration makes the game extremely hard to play on keyboard, and why the ability to shoot with your mouse wasn't included is baffling. The gameplay is great with a controller, but if you don't have one, you will be struggling to play at any advanced level. The aesthetics in Extreme Exorcism are pretty basic, with the game having a retro-style look with some modern enhanced graphical effects. The levels you play are all set in an old abandoned mansion, a typical location for a place full of ghosts. The game uses the mansion setting well, as each room has platforms and traps that are based on the theme of the room, such as the kitchen having a plethora of fire and the library having a ton of books shifting along the walls. The game is priced at $13 on launch, which is an okay price if you enjoy the gameplay and have friends who want to play the game locally. The amount of content in Extreme Exorcism is definitely to its advantage if you really enjoy the ghost copy mechanic. The complete arcade mode combined with an enormous list of challenges provides you with plenty of content that will keep you occupied for 5 to 7 hours at least. The leaderboards also provide additional replayability by encouraging you to go back to previous levels to attempt to increase your score. However, as I've said earlier, the game does get stale rather quickly, so while the game does have a lot of content, most of the content does feel a bit repetitive. Future potential wise, this game desperately needs online multiplayer. Something as basic as online functionality shouldn't be something that I talk about in the future potential section, and yet here we are again. While this is the third or fourth indie game that I have criticized recently for only having local co-op, in 2015, all games that are multiplayer based should have online functionality, and it's something that I will continue to consider a major con in any game that I review. Nowadays, people are gaming more and more in chat rooms than they are in living rooms, and each time I see a local only co-op game, it makes me really sad that I won't be able to share this experience with my friends who span across the globe. While the mechanic of ghosts repeating your steps may be initially interesting, this gimmick alone is not enough to create a fully satisfying single-player experience. Where the game shines is its multiplayer, but without online, there will be very few people who will be able to take advantage of it. If you are someone who has frequent LAN events or only plays within your household, then Extreme Exorcism is a game that I recommend that you play. However, for anyone else, I recommend that you wait for a sale or wait for the game to get online multiplayer before considering a purchase. The variety of levels in addition to the challenges gives you quite a bit to do, and the game has extremely solid platforming overall. However, expect the gameplay to reflect the gimmick as you repeat yourself over and over. Thank you for watching my play, wait or avoid review of Extreme Exorcism. If you would like to buy the game, a link to the Steam store page is in the description below, or you can purchase the game on the online store of any current gen console. And if you'd like to see more of my content, subscribe and check out my channel where I do reviews, news, and other gaming commentary, such as my review of Super Mario Maker, a Mario platformer that allows you to create and share levels in a variety of classic Super Mario Bros. Styles, or my review of Circa Infinity, a platformer that has you transversing circular levels instead of traditional linear levels.